January was a fun month and I sewed a couple new things, so let me show you what I did. The first piece I made was this yellow button up, and I have to hold the mic because I don't want to clip it somewhere and have it obstruct the view of this shirt. But this is a yellow button up with a brown contrast stitching and clear transparent colored buttons. As for the silhouette, it's a pretty straightforward classic button-up shirt, and it has the sleeve cuff and sleeve plackets and buttons on the sleeve. And overall, I'd say the length and the width are pretty classic, nothing too crazy. But what you see here on the front chest is some creative exploration where I decided to hammer some flower dye onto the shirt. So I'll put a picture up here of the process I took, but pretty much I found a bunch of different colored flowers around my neighborhood, and I laid the base fabric, the yellow fabric, on the floor outside on the concrete, and then I laid the flowers on top of it and then just hammered the flower dye. And you know, after you air dry, sun dry it for a little bit, the colors stay. So if you do wash it, the colors will fade a bit. Maybe even all the color will fade. So you definitely can't wash it too much and you can't wash it too hard. But for now, I think you have a mixture of purples and reds and oranges and greens. And so I really like the way it turned out. I think next time I can probably be a little bit more deliberate with the shape and the coverage, the surface area in which I do the hammering of the flower dye, so that it creates some sort of a shape and has some sort of a formation and looks a little bit more tidy. But otherwise, I'm happy with this creative exploration, and I think it's a step in the right direction for me, just learning more techniques and being more creative. Next is this purple button-up, which is also the same silhouette as the previous one. This one is a pretty cool fabric. It's kind of like a purplish color from a distance, but the purple color comes from the weft being blue and the warp being red. So up close, I think it's still pretty hard to see on camera, but one direction the threads are red and the other direction the threads are blue. And from a distance, it creates this purplish color. But at certain angles, the fabric looks a bit more red, and at other angles, it might look more blue. So just a cool fabric, I thought. And I decided to pair this fabric with fluorescent colored mother of pearl type of buttons. It kind of has a space matter, dark matter, shiny color. I also had some beads laying around, which were the same sort of fluorescent mother of pearl shell color. And I knew I wanted to use these beads as a decoration for some project, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to incorporate them. I just knew I wanted to use them some way. And I sat down and started sewing these beads by hand, one by one, or maybe two by two at a time, onto the fabric. And I didn't get very far. I realized that trying to put hundreds of beads on this fabric by hand was way too tedious, and I didn't have the patience for that. So I ended up just spelling out my brand's name, Amoria, as well as putting a little heart-shaped design here on the collar. But really, what I learned from this experience was that it is so tedious making those haute couture pieces where they embellish the whole thing with gems or rhinestones or custom stitches or buttons. It's so tedious. So really, I can't even fathom how many hours it takes for them to embellish a whole shirt with gems. But this was a fun experience, just playing around with extra accessories, decorations, and it's always fun just trying new things. And the third piece is this brown long sleeve, which is a recreation of last month's black long sleeve with the floral design in the front. And I just thought I liked the previous one so much, so I might as well do it again, but change it up a little bit. So I chose a new color, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. It is a stretch cotton fabric with pretty long sleeves, a slim silhouette. For the sleeve and the body hem, I've done a cover stitch where I leave it 1 or 2 inches from the edge and let the edge naturally roll up a little bit by itself, which I like that rolled natural roll. For the center motif, I found a brown floral lace and I cut it out in the center to include just the center of the flower blossoming. This is what the original lace fabric looked like, and I just cut out a center portion where one of the flowers was centered and placed it on here. I'm really liking these pieces where I'm adding this little floral touch to some sort of plain fabric. It has an androgynous feeling to it. It kind of emasculates the piece and makes it so that it's more unisex. It just feels more artistic, more artisanal, and I'll probably remake this again in a gray color. I definitely need to improve on my execution of the neckband. I feel like it's a little bit too big, but I do like the thin neckband, and I will try to improve my technique on that. But at the end of the day, I'm just making these for fun as like prototypes, and then if one of these is well received, then maybe I'll try to mass produce them and leave it up to the professionals to create a better neckband and more precise cuffs and sleeve openings and whatnot. But these are kind of just prototypes for me to play around, do some different designs, and to just iterate quickly and make different things and see what works, see what doesn't work. Thank you if you made it to the end. That's all I have to show for y'all today. Hopefully next month I'll have more things to show you, and hopefully I'll get even more outside of my comfort zone and explore even more creatively different ideas and techniques. And so hopefully you'll join me on that journey, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.